Tonight at 6, the MAC's decision to begin play. Presidents of Mid-American Conference schools took a vote on a fall football season today. We have the details.
And after 2 positive COVID cases in Clark Hall, a whole floor is now under quarantine. What that means and how the students are holding up straight ahead.
No justice, no peace. Protests have erupted across the country and even right here at Kent State. Breonna Taylor's death causing many Kent State students to march in her honor. TV2 was there.
New testing procedures on campus. Kent State is expected to start randomly selecting students for COVID tests. That and more news coming up on TV2 News.
This is TV2 News.
Good Friday evening, Portage County. Thank you for being with us tonight. I'm Melissa Meyers.
And I'm Gianna DaPra.
As we come on air tonight, we've just learned that the MAC will resume its fall season in November. Let's send things right over to our sports reporter, Christian Hinton. Christian?
Thank you. We have breaking news. The MAC is back. After a vote that lasted almost 2 hours, Kent State President Todd Dykin and other MAC presidents voted just a few minutes ago to bring back MAC football this fall. The MAC posted a confirmation on Twitter about an hour ago. I will have specific details, including an official start date of the MAC season, later on.
And an entire floor in Clark Hall was placed on quarantine after 2 students tested positive for COVID-19. Our Kyle Vasil spoke with a student who was living in the dorm to learn what the new lifestyle is like. Kyle?
Thank you. That's right. 25 students have been quarantined in Clark Hall after 2 tested positive for COVID-19. I spoke with someone living in the dorm about life in the isolation. Take a look.
Now, we did recently quarantine 25 students, I think it was, Eric, in Clark Hall.
Yes, that's correct, 25.
So we've quarantined because 2 people on that floor tested positive.
Yesterday, a group of students residing in Clark Hall found out that they will be spending the next 2 weeks in quarantine.
So I think it was definitely a shock when it happened.
One of those students is Isaac Hawalzi, who was very involved on campus. When he got word that someone 2 doors down from him had tested positive, he quickly went to get tested and began a 2-week isolation period.
So I was like one of the first ones in my dorm to go get tested because I have my students, obviously, and I was like, I want to be a good role model for them. I'm staying on campus. I'm going to get tested and everything.
Isaac and 24 of his floor mates will have to face a new normal for at least the next 14 days. They will have almost no social interaction. For Isaac, that will take some getting used to.
I'm not allowed to have visitors. I'm not allowed to go into other doors, really. So if I pass someone in the hallway going to the bathroom, I guess that's my social interaction, saying thank you when they drop off my food.
Isaac says he and his fellow students are doing their best to stay optimistic in the new reality that they're faced with.
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns. People are probably just anxious because we don't know the outcomes yet. We don't know if this is gonna last just 2 weeks or if there's more to it.
His advice to other Kent State students is to take their health and safety seriously because it can affect more than just one individual.
Obviously, we need to be more mindful. This is the impact that it can have. I don't know how this kid got it, but if you are being irresponsible, if you are going to parties still, you need to be mindful that it can affect the community around you.
Reporting for TV2 News, this is Kyle Vasil.
As the number of reported cases on campus fluctuates, students are concerned about their future of their lives at Kent State. Our reporter Vivian Hawk found out how the university plans to keep up with the testing and maintain student safety. Hi, Vivian.
Hi, Gianna. With Portage County's new designation, students are anxious to see if campus closures will change. According to President Dykin, though, life might not go back to normal as soon as students may have hoped. Take a look.
Now look, our numbers are going to start going up, and they're going to start going up because pretty soon we'll be able to roll out a much broader testing than we've been able to do so far.
Portage County was redesignated as an orange county on the Ohio Public Health Advisory map yesterday. But despite the drop in status, the university is continuing to enforce precautionary measures that began when the county turned red. For the last week and until further notice, all 8 of the campus's dining halls are takeout only, and only students who live on campus are allowed in residence halls. President Todd Daikin told TV2 that students can soon expect to see random coronavirus testing of the student population.
We will roll out sample testing. We will definitely start that this semester, and then our plan would be to continue it into the spring semester.
Students say they think the testing could be beneficial and help make sure that they stay on campus for the remainder of the semester.
I think it's a great idea. I think we would be able to like see who has COVID among the students and be able to kind of fight it better. And I would want them to do a rapid test, because some people are uncomfortable with shoving something up their nose.
To have an option to reject the test is also a good thing, but to take the test is also good, just to know.
It will really make sure that students take responsibility for their health.
The administration says they expect the number of positive cases among Kent students to rise as they begin to administer more testing, but Daikin says they have a plan in place.
But we're ready for that. We have rooms set aside for isolation, roughly 300 beds, and then we have all of Verter Hall set aside for quarantine students. So we have a really good plan. We'll continue to work, and I think that'll stand us well as we all confront this pandemic.
Assistant Vice President of Content Strategy and Communications, Eric Mansfield, says students should expect an email with more information about sample testing in the coming days. In the Franklin Hall studio, I'm Vivian Hawk.
All right, thanks, Vivian. Well, the City of Kent announced today that their designated outdoor refreshment area, DaPra, is back on in the downtown area. This comes after the announcement that Portage County's risk level lowered from red to orange. Officials say as long as the county stays below a red level, DaPra will continue to stay open.
Welcome to your Friday evening weather report. I'm Rachel Gross. Currently in Kent, we're seeing the sun finally. 76 degrees, winds coming in from the east at about 3 miles per hour. So it's a really nice evening to get out there. Maybe go back to the DaPra tables outside in downtown Kent. Looking around in Northeast Ohio, upper 70s all across the board. Like I said, wonderful evening. Heading out statewide. Athens down here, 74, but otherwise we're all in the upper 70s, kind of Dayton's at 80, and then going into the rest of the night, mostly clear throughout the night, might be seeing some scattered clouds here and there, but otherwise a very pleasant night to be out on the town, outside, just enjoying this nice weather before the cold and the rain comes back to stay for fall. Last little bit of summer happening this weekend. Now that's all I have for weather right now. Make sure you stay tuned for your weekend weather. I'm Rachel Gross. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Rachel. And in light of the recent news that no officer will be charged in Breonna Taylor's death, protests have emerged across the country.
And even right here in Kent, our reporter Halena Sepulveda has more.
What it means to be a black woman in America. We are the beginnings of everyone's life and the sole fighters for the rights of our people, just to be unprotected, neglected, and disrespected.
Today, students of Kent State University gathered in protest again, but this time over the recent court ruling over the death of Breonna Taylor back in March.
Black women are always protecting someone, but who is protecting us? Nobody.
Earlier this week, a grand jury ruled that the officers responsible for the death of Breonna Taylor will only face charges for wanton endangerment. Students are angry and demand justice for this tragedy.
It could have been me, literally. My sister, my cousin, my mother.
The Breonna Taylor case hit home to many Kent State University students, regardless of their race or gender.
This is real personal. I didn't know Breonna Taylor myself, but if something like that were to happen to a woman that I care about, which happens to be a lot, I wouldn't even know what I would do.
Kent State students do know, however, what they need to do to spark change, and it starts with joining together as a community.
We cannot carry this ourselves. Every civil rights movement that we went through in this country happens with allies.
Members of the Black United Students on Kent's campus emphasize the need of the desire to change and ask Kent State University students to educate themselves and each other.
Been a victim of police brutality.
You can't force something. You can't force change, you know? Everybody has to want to be that change so that we can.
Daylon Banks was arrested in Kent today for a shooting he was involved in earlier this month. An investigation revealed that Banks shot at another man, however, also struck a bystander in the arm. Banks is currently being held without bond on the charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The investigation is still ongoing.
The Black Lives Matter movement has been around for quite a while now, and we are learning that majority of Ohioans support it. In a recent poll from the Baldwin-Wallace University Great Lakes poll, most who answered agree that people in the U.S. have advantages because of their skin color. Officials say over 53% of people agreed with the movement of Black Lives Matter. The poll was taken from September 8th and through the 22nd, and it had over 1,000 people answer.
And Cleveland police are assuring residents that there will not be a repeat of riots during the presidential debate on Tuesday. Officials say the riots sparked by George Floyd's death back in May caught the department unprepared. Chief Wayne Drummond told council this week that his plans for the upcoming debate include placing officers on 12-hour shifts, canceling days off, and keeping more officers downtown. And as we're just days away from the presidential debate in Cleveland, experts are saying this could be the most watched event of the election. Due to COVID, there will be no rallies and face-to-face photo ops this year, so many will be tuning into the debate this upcoming Tuesday. At this point in the presidential election, polls show that most voters have made up their minds. President Trump has held more in-person voters, while Joe Biden held more virtual ones.
And as the debate approaches in Cleveland, the U.S. Postal Service is closing one of their mail collection boxes. The box is located outside the University Center post office at Case Western University and will be locked from September 26th through September 30th. The reason for this is a preventative measure. And Ohio will have a special guest virtually on October 8th. Joe Biden's wife, Jill Biden, has announced she is making her virtual way to Ohio, but has not specified which city.
What police are calling a terrorist attack in Paris this morning. The relation from today's attack to one from years past.
Earlier this week, we learned the officers were not charged in relation to Breonna Taylor's death, but her family says they will not stop fighting for justice. Hear them next.
And the U.S. Census was supposed to be over by now, but a judge has added an additional month of surveying. We'll tell you why when we return.
Put the keys down, Kevin.
But I'm gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
My text to emoji ratio has gotten a little out of hand.
A little?
Yep, I'm definitely gonna call a ride home.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
And now, your TV2 Sports Report.
Vote will be driven by the safety of our student athletes and our coaches and our staff. And so if there's a way to do that and do it safely, then I think that's a possibility. We voted to postpone football and fall sports because we couldn't figure out how to do them safely. If that's changed with advances in testing, with an advanced understanding of the illness of COVID-19, how it's transmitted in the light, then that might influence.
Happy Friday, Portage County. My name is Christian Hinton, and this is TV2 Sports. President Todd Deiken voted today with other MAC presidents to play the fall football season. Continuing off of what Daikin said, his vote was heavily influenced by the safety protocols that would protect players, coaches, and staff. This vote comes after other conferences, such as the Big Ten, Pac-12, canceled their seasons and then reversed those decisions. The MAC joins them as the last FBS team to confirm a fall season. Sources tell TV2 Sports that the season will work something like this. There will be 6 scheduled conference games, target start of November 4th, extensive testing on all personnel, and no fans in attendance. Week 5 of high school football kicks off tonight, and TV2 has you covered with all the action. We're covering undefeated Streetsboro versus 2-win Ravenna, 1-win Crestwood versus 3-win Trinity, and our game of the week, undefeated Mogador versus undefeated Garfield. Keep up with TV2 Sports on Twitter for every update you need for those matchups. And the Cleveland Indians continued their hot streak last night against the Chicago White Sox. In the bottom of this, or at the top of this inning here, the Chicago White Sox took a 1-0 lead. No surprise there, as they are a great team this year. They're up 1-0, but the Indians come back to tie it up at 1. That one is a ground rule double by Cesar Hernandez. So they tie it up at 1. The White Sox then open it up here. It's now 4-1 at the top of the 7th. But Jose Ramirez has some other plans about losing this game. He hits a double here, his 8th extra base hit in the last couple of at-bats he's had. And the Indians win 5-4. This game is their 4th win against the White Sox, and that is a sweep for them. Make sure to stay up to date with more sports information throughout the week on Twitter at TV2 Sports. With your TV2 Sports Report, I'm Christian Hinton.
Thanks, Christian. And speaking of sports, 1 game per day restriction has been lifted by Governor DeWine for all sports levels. The previous order made sports limited to 1 game per day. The health department and DeWine believe that it is now safe to discard for this season and start playing again. This includes tennis, cross country, golf, and bowling. And in another poll from Baldwin-Wallace University, Governor DeWine's efforts to stop the spread of COVID-19 is approved by most Ohioans. The report says 72% of people approve of his handling of the virus in Ohio. 3/4 of the respondents also approved of the decision to require face masks in public. DeWine was quick to call shutdowns and stay-at-home orders in March and mandated masks in July.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg's personal trainer honored the late Supreme Court Justice on a Friday in a fitting fashion. After a ceremony at the U.S. Capitol, Army Reservist Bryant Johnson paused before Ginsburg's casket, dropped, and did 3 push-ups with perfect form. Johnson started training Ginsburg in 1999 after surgery for colorectal cancer. Ginsburg became an unlikely fitness role model for her commitment to her workouts, even when facing medical issues. She continued to train with Johnson this year as she underwent chemotherapy.
Breonna Taylor's family says they are not giving up in their fight for justice following their daughter's killing in March. 3 officers involved in the shooting were not charged in relation to her death. That decision sparked widespread protests this week. Nadia Ramiro is in Louisville with the latest.
Say her name.
The family of Breonna Taylor grieving, angry, and demanding answers.
And I'm angry because this nation is learning that our black women dying at the hands of police officers, and this is not okay.
After a grand jury declined to charge the officers on her killing during a botched raid in March, the family and their attorneys say they were not giving up.
Release the transcripts of the grand jury proceeding so we can know if there was anybody giving a voice to Breonna Taylor.
The Taylor case has drawn worldwide attention, and widespread protests erupted this week following the Kentucky Attorney General's announcement. Demonstrators taking to the streets for the second night. While mostly peaceful in Louisville, there were some violent incidents in cities across the U.S., including in Hollywood, where a car accelerated into a crowd of marchers on Sunset Boulevard, hitting a protester.
Breonna's legacy will be that black women life matters too.
Louisville's mayor has extended a citywide curfew through the weekend. Taylor's family is calling for peaceful demonstrations, but they say their fight isn't over.
I hope you never know the pain of your child being murdered 191 days in a row.
In Louisville, I'm Nadia Romero.
U.S. District Judge Lucy Coe has stopped the 2020 census from finishing at the end of the month. She says the shortened schedule ordered by President Trump's administration would likely produce inaccurate results. The preliminary injunction granted to Judge Coe allows the census to continue through the end of October.
And still to come on TV2, my forecast for your upcoming week. Stay tuned.
And Europe is experiencing an influx of COVID cases. One country recorded 16,000 cases in a single day. TV2 will be back in 90 seconds.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
They call me Prince like I'm royalty or something. But the places I've lived ain't no palaces. So I don't need grilled salmon or a new scratching post. Just give me a cardboard box and a can of tuna and we're good. You can even change my name. I'm cool being the kitty formerly known as Prince.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just...
Welcome back to your Friday evening weather report. Looking ahead to tomorrow, Saturday, 79 degrees, very warm with periods of sun, a little bit of wind coming in from the south. You're only going to be able to enjoy that sun, though, until 7:14 p.m. That's when the sun's going to set. There's going to be clouds moving in, high of about 64 in the evening, winds at 6 miles per hour. But other than that, mostly warm throughout the day tomorrow. Then moving into Sunday, 80 degrees. Those clouds are going to stick around, unfortunately. A little bit of sun here and there. Sunset a little bit later, just a tiny bit at 7:13 p.m. Then going into your weekend weather, warm weekend up until Monday. The rain's going to come back on Monday, low of 61 degrees. And then moving into Tuesday, that rain is going to stick around. Maybe a thunderstorm in the morning, but those temperatures are going to plummet to 66 degrees on Tuesday. That's your high. 49 for a low. Plenty of clouds throughout the day. Then that sun's going to come back on Wednesday. Temperature's going to stay down, though, high of 63 degrees. Sunny and breezy throughout the day. Maybe some rain later in the evening. That's the case for most of the days next week. Thursday, mostly cloudy. Rain possible again in the evening. Temperature's going to stay down at 60. Friday, some sun, patchy clouds, possible rain in the PM, 59 degrees. And that's all I have tonight. Be sure to enjoy the warm weather this weekend before the cold and rain set in next week. Have a great weekend, Portage County. I'll see you next week.
2 people were injured in a stabbing attack in Paris this morning. A suspect was arrested a short time later, not far from the incident. Another person connected to the attack was also taken into custody. The 2 wounded victims worked at a documentary film company, some of whose employees had witnessed a 2015 terror attack there. The man and woman wounded in Friday's incident have been taken to the hospital, and police say their injuries are not serious, but are looking at it as a terrorist attack.
Sticking overseas, daily cases of coronavirus in France are at an all-time high. The country reported more than 16,000 new infections yesterday alone. Paris public hospitals announced they will start canceling some non-elective procedures in the coming days to make room for COVID-19 patients. With this number of new cases, France is moving close to 500,000 coronavirus infections. In Massachusetts, 2 former administrators of a veterans home have been charged because of the way they handled the coronavirus outbreak inside. The Massachusetts veteran home had about 80 people die from the virus. Bennett Walsh and Dr. David Clinton were indicted by a grand jury for combining 2 dementia units and packing positive cases in the same room as people with no symptoms. If convicted, they could face prison time for permitting serious bodily injury or neglect of an elderly. Zoom has become a staple in education, business, and just about everything this year. So that calls for some upgrades. We have the inside scoop straight ahead.
And if you were a kid in the 80s, your mouth will be watering over this news because the nostalgia will be real. How to return to your childhood when TV2 returns. We'll be right back.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool.
To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
General Mills is bringing back the 1980s recipes of 4 of its cereals. Cocoa Puffs, Cookie Crisp, Trix, and Golden Grahams are permanently returning to their 80s versions. The company says Cocoa Puffs will be more chocolatey, Cookie Crisp will have a more chocolate chip cookie flavor, Trix is returning to 6 fruity shapes, and Golden Grahams is bringing back honey. General Mills says they are now available at most major retailers nationwide.
And Zoom is making their video meeting app more accessible to those with disabilities. New features have been put in place for the hearing impaired and the visually impaired. One feature allows users to reorder Zoom video chat windows. Zoom says this allows users to place windows with sign language interpreters directly by whoever is speaking. Users can now also adjust the size of the text used in closed captioning. And the app has expanded its keyboard shortcuts and changed its interface so those who are losing their vision can log in without a mouse.
And the cast of Hocus Pocus is reuniting for a virtual Halloween special. Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy will reunite as part of Midler's annual Halloween celebrations. The takeover, called In Search of the Sanderson Sisters, a Hocus Pocus Halloween, will be a 1-hour special taking place on October 30th. And that'll do it for tonight's edition of TV2 News. As always, thanks for watching. For up-to-the-minute coverage on all these stories and more, be sure to connect with us on social media at TV2KSU.
And be sure to tune in to Portage Pulse tonight at 7 and Kent Core tonight at 9. I'm Gianna DaPra.
And I'm Melissa Meyers. Have a great weekend, Portage County.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year? 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I'm Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Every day across America,
excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.